You are laughing about it. You are laughing about it. That means you have a plan here, and you have something that we still can do something about it.
Yeah, improve the morality of the human race. It's the morality that's bad. The human race is not what it used to be. Its family ethics is gone. Its character, it's destroyed by socialism. Starting in the 1950s, and European culture was destroyed. Thousands of years of family ethics and culture, and people were addicted to drugs, and all this bad pornography came in, and that actually hurts females, that degrades females. Mm-hmm. Think about it. And who created this pornography? Why? If you're trying to make women to be free, then why are you abusing them psychologically and emotionally? Why are you dishonoring them and making them look like a piece of meat? People, in the 40s and 50s, the girls were saying, "Oh, you treat me like a piece of meat. You shouldn't do that." But then they go and they act like that. It wasn't them that did it. They got programmed by men. That was my first book, Rape via Behavioral Social Programming. People like Hugh Hefner. He's not a woman. He's not only a womanizer. He's like a rapist. He completely destroyed an entire culture. He made women into a slave by freely giving up themselves instead of being physically raped. Their minds and their culture was raped.
The whole Hollywood structure, culture, or you cannot say it culture, but the way the women are acting, and in order to get the role,
Yes. Mm-hmm. I call that rape mind, which is my book, Rape via Digital Social Programming. That girls are being raped without even knowing because their brain chemistry has been altered. They have, through generations, from this socialism, communism that came from these few people. They were very, very cruel people. Like Hugh Hefner is not a good man. That he is very selfish, in my opinion, not a good man. And other people, they just look at the family ethics. Look at just family in general. It doesn't exist. It wasn't like the people were sad in the 1940s and 30s, other than financial issues. People had genuine love for their families, and they had good time seeing their families. I'll meet people that are in their 80s or 90s, and they're with their loved ones still, and you can tell they still enjoy each other. But they'll talk about how that time was, and they'll say, no, it wasn't like the movies said. It wasn't that every man was a wife beater. It was a very small percentage that are wife beaters. But what the Hollywood did, if they see a situation that a few men are bullies and wife beaters, and then they make everybody a wife beater, and then you become the extreme. It's kind of like the racial issue. Let's say if 20% are racist, then you make 80% racist. That's the issue. If that happens, and then everyone goes the opposite way. So, in my opinion, yes, females historically have been hurt and been taken advantage of by males. That's the reason why they went to where it is today. They were most taken advantage of and hurt the past 50, 60 years by males. All the drugs and the pornography and the hurting of the female's emotions and psyche, but all the stuff that's happened, that is the worst that's happened, other than being invaded and pillaged and raped by invading armies. It's happened at a great scale. So that's one. But then all the envy and the jealousy and fighting and cheating people for business deals and doing business deals with Chinese government, rogue companies, and hurting people. So if the human race is like this and you have 7 billion people around the planet, it's not going to survive. It will not survive. How can you have 7 billion people like that and you have AI, artificial intelligence comes in, and a plague, a virus? You see how people are acting crazy in the streets?
Oh, yeah.
So just think about it. What happens when there's a lot of food shortages? What happens when there's government pushing this and then the people are like this? What happens? It becomes total
anarchy
chaos.
And crime, the first.
I'm sorry?
Anarchy and crime, that comes first.
Yes. So if we can upgrade ourselves, I'm not saying have fear. We shouldn't have fear, but collectively, the human race needs to become more selfless and fearless and wise. And that's what it needs to do in a very quick way. Because if we don't, and we have these scientists keep on building technology, and the technology supersedes our not only our intelligence, but our ethics and morality, then they're mixing humans and animals. Then someone says, okay, it's good to do. They'll try to promote bestiality, which they do already on pornography. And even in some places, they're saying, oh, maybe you should do that. So just think about it. Once you mix humans with animals, that's the end of civilization. If you look at all the hieroglyphics and statues and the scriptures going back from many cultures around the world that never talk to each other, and also oral tradition, they say humanity was destroyed, not just once, many times. So that comes back to our concept of free will. If you have free will, and you're given the choice of good or bad based on experience and some things, you go against that, you get eliminated by just a cause and effect, a chain of reaction of things that happens globally. So 7-something billion people during a plague or a virus or conflict, civil war, AI enslavement, lockdown, the Great Reset, however you want to call it. And then all those emotional issues and having you sitting at home, virtual, augmented reality, it cannot survive. It cannot survive unless it morally becomes a lot better, like in the 1940s, but even better.
What alternative do we have? Because of course, if the cell phone is influencing us, then what to do? You cannot throw out the cell phone these days. No. You basically we start to work. You have two, just right there.
I have more. I have like 5 of them.
Exactly, and you are the man telling us all that it's influencing our brain, our neurons in our brain. So what is the prevention that we are getting not hypnotized by social media, because we do work, work with technology continuously. My work, many people's work is taken online this past year.
Yes. So you have to first be able to not be influenced by other people and not be emotionally react to get angry. So I said some things that are going to push some buttons, and maybe some people are going to press.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've already said it. So maybe some people are going to press dislike because they're angry or they have an emotional reaction instead of really thinking about what is he saying? What's the purpose of him criticizing? Maybe he has altruistic goal. Maybe he's trying to help me. I don't want to listen to him. I'm angry. That's called emotion. So when human beings have emotions like that, they can be easily influenced. So that means they're not in control of their own selves. They're not in control of their mind, their body, or their spirits. Their thoughts are generated, their actions are generated based on emotion alone. So they're a program. So in order to come out of that program, you have to be conscious of it first and constantly work on yourself. That where did that thought come from? Why did I react to this? Why do I have an emotion or a feeling over this? Now, I'm not saying be like an alien and have no emotion. Love is great, but then love for a woman or a man causes a lot of issues too, because it can be false emotion. You see, because it's a chemical reaction sometimes, or it's just a feeling that's from a perception rather than from reality. So because it has to be grounded in so many different things. You can't just go, I love this person and they love me, or they make me feel good. That's a trick. That's like a spider tricking you, whether it's a girl or a man. The emotion has to come from logic and wisdom. It all has to be interconnected. Human beings have emotion, but if you can go beyond that, you can drop all your attachments, and you can alter it to benevolence. That's different. So the Persians had something, and the Persian religion called Avestan, the Zoroastrianism. They have a Pandarnik, Goftarnik, Kerdarnik, which means good thoughts, good words, and good deeds. And the Christians, you have unfaith alone, you return to Jesus. But in my opinion, faith meaning is you have to act like his path. You can't act a different way and then you go to heaven. The faith is different. You have to repent or have redemption. The Falun Dafa, they believe in Jen Shanren, So truthfulness, benevolence, and forbearance. So you drop the human emotions and you replace it with benevolence for everybody, compassion for every person. And then for the Indians, they have the concept of oneness from yoga kind of thing. Yeah, so they're all interconnected. So attaining enlightenment and awakening is the only way to actually be free of influence. If it's not human beings, it's something you see. If it's not that, it's smartphone. But smartphone is much more powerful. There are some people that sell all kind of stuff. 5G, it doesn't work. It's not going to stop you influencing you. A little bit. I'm not sure about some technologies, but the main thing is to upgrade our character. I have a book coming out in 2 weeks, but it won't be in Polish, but it kind of explains these things. But I think to work on our character, our ethics and morality, and even meditation, if you want to do meditation, and improve your level of awareness. The more aware you are of yourself, you can be more aware of your surroundings, and not be moved by emotion, not to have fear, not to be angry, not to bring yourself down. That's what's really important. But to be able to sense these frequencies, that takes a certain skill, and that's not average. It's not something the average person can do. To say, oh, that's controlling me. Oh, it hits my electrical field.
You know, actually, some people report to me, and there is an organization in Poland that they tell that they are targeted by weapons, by energetic weapons from quantum computer or however it's called. Yeah. And they say that I myself hear sometimes high frequency, and I can move one corner of my room to another and it's not there, but it's somewhere else. So some people hear the sounds, some people sense the vibrations, some people even see the streams on Earth.
I see the streams and I hear the sounds and I sense it. So and I also feel it. So the smartphone, the first time I ever touched it, I could feel the electrical field and I could see how it affects my body and how it travels into my body the first time I touch it. And I realized, wow, there must be some kind of technology in here designed to connect with the human body. And I realized how it travels, what it connects, how it goes to the brain to control you. Then I researched it and I found there's patents for this. Actually, to do this, called copulation. Google has it. Cell phone companies have it. So I'm like, okay, so that means I'm 100% right. Well, I knew I was 100% right, but no one's going to believe me. So I go find the patents. Still, people think I'm crazy. Then I go, okay, we'll put algorithms together with a company. Algorithms show the same exact results. So I have that. Then the fourth is you see what's happened to society. People are literally brainwashed. The brain chemistry changes. If you can make a mouse do something, you can make a human do that too.
Of course.
That's what happens with the TV you watch and the programming. Anything that comes in your eyes and your ears by seeing or hearing already is programming you, and to different degrees, and you don't sense it. When you go to bed and you're sleeping, whatever you saw throughout the day is going to recycle. So that's why people read these things or they watch something. When they go to bed, literally is recycling, and it's re-hardwiring their neural networks and altering their brain chemistry. So the more you watch, I hate Trump, and Trump is this, Trump is that, that's going to make it even more. So, and these tech companies can actually do that to you. And based on the way they set up their algorithms and so many different things. So, but yes, I said all this stuff comes from alien technology, and these scientists are just a pawn. They don't realize themselves. They're being controlled. But their religion is science, which is you don't believe things you can't see or hear. That means they can always be controlled.
I will ask you about this cell phone, because if you say that you can sense how this is coming and interacting with your body, we spoke just a little bit briefly before this conversation online, and you studied some meditation, you traveled places, you did something. So you have awakened this type of perception that we on my channel talk about it with my guests and I. I do a lot in this because I think also that this is crucial for humanity now to be conscious every moment of their life. If you sense that this is affecting you, this is sending signals, as we, powerful being, can we send and affect that technology back?
If you have that power, you can stop the frequency from affecting you. And then if you want to hurt the smartphone, can you hurt the smartphone? Yes. Can you send the energy back?
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you can stop it, and there's no point in sending it back because it wouldn't come.
Well, just neutralizing it. Maybe the better word.
If you have a shield around you, it won't hit you. So a lot of people, from what I heard, already have a symbiotic relationship with this. Elon Musk is the same thing. But some people who their bodies are different, no matter how much technology touches them, it won't affect them much because it won't get into.
Sorry. How do you differentiate who has connection? You say biometric connection with it. Did I understand it correctly? I only can understand that, people are sleeping with their phones, reading. You cannot take it away from them.
Every person has a connection with it. They're being controlled by it. They don't know it. In order for someone not to be affected by it, they have to either not use it much at all or just not want it. And it doesn't mean they have a supernatural power. It just means they're just different. Some people are like that. It doesn't mean they have these powers. But there's other people that have powers. And they won't be affected by it. So at the beginning, I noticed when I get a text, I feel it. I can even hear it.
Yeah.
When it was in silence. So I look and I see the light flashing. But this means it's already connecting to your brain and other parts of your body. So this happens to a lot of people. You see?
What do you do? What do you do? Because I totally follow you here.
You have to
talk about telepathy.
You have to drop all human attachments and upgrade your body and your mind.
That's the only way.
Yes, you have to be above a human. If you're not, then you're affected by it.
That's very important because you actually explain it in a very simple way, and it sounds very banal. Like you just have to develop yourself and work on your consciousness, work on your emotions, and that is always sounding so banal. That is crucial.
Not just that. If you're above a human, that means your energy is above any human being on the planet. That means your energy is above the technology comes from the smartphones, so it wouldn't affect you. If your energy is above something else, the radiations coming from it won't affect you. The frequency won't affect you. That's only if your energy is above it, and you have to be above a human being to do that.
So you talk about raising frequencies until they reach the level that nothing affects you anymore.
Nothing at this level, but then there's things that if you have an atomic energy connection, you have to be above the level of atomic realms. You have to be somewhere much more powerful in atoms. So you have to reach those realms.
So we talk about achieving now in a speed of light, Christ or Buddha consciousness.
Not consciousness, but so there's two levels of that. One is the people who achieve the consciousness, but their body doesn't achieve it. They look human, they grow old, and they die. And their spirit comes out. And then they think they've achieved some kind of consciousness. The other one is they physically achieve it here.
Yeah.
And they can transform their physical body to their cells. Like, let's say I'm sitting in front of you, I'm looking 42, 45 years old, but if I want to, let's say I leave and half hour later I look 25 if I do some meditations. Everything changes. That means I'm at a certain level. But if some other people can literally change themselves, then they're at a much higher level. It depends. Some people can't change themselves, but they're even much higher than that. But the energy channels in their bodies are locked. You see? So Usually the Eastern practices do a physical transformation. In the Persian tradition, like the poetry of Rumi, Mavlana Rumi, he talks about this stuff in his poetry. People don't understand it because it's very vague, but he's talking about this stuff. And he talks about how a certain person transformed his body. And then the saints in Catholicism, the ancient stories, the saints could transform the body into a light body. The Tibetan lamas, some of them, could transform themselves into light.
I don't know where you are in California, but did you hear about Institute of Yogananda there?
I've heard of it. Also, the Falun Dafa is another Eastern one. They work on physically transforming here in this life. That's another one. And then I've heard Yogananda and so many different things, but it's which one can achieve it. Not that many people can achieve it. It's very
that's
difficult.
The thing.
It's which practice you choose and which one you can achieve, if you really want to achieve it, because you can get above the level of human, but then if you have a human emotion or a thought, you will fall down to a level of a human.
Yes.
So a cattle is a cattle and a human is a human. If you get to the level of an ascended being or a light being, awakening being, or a Buddha or Christ consciousness, as you call it, then you are at that level. You're no longer human. You don't have human interests. You have something that's above human. It's much more beautiful. But if something moves you and you have an interest in something that's human, then you drop immediately. And even your body that was like, you can do supernatural things with it, that drops too. Because you can't be at the level of a human to have these kind of powers. So that's what I said. A lot of faiths talk about the purpose of a human being is to achieve enlightenment. And that's why you can't see or hear. You just see what you see in this world. And you think that's it. Scientists believe this is it. There's nothing more than that. And then religion said, this is my religion and this is what it says here. But for the religion that came out thousands of years ago, it was written for primitive people that were just coming out of the last destruction, what they call the flood. They had to develop tools, then learn to get the test, the 10, what did Moses get when Moses give to the people? The 10 laws to go by, right? So you have to really tell people not to cheat on your wife, on your husband. You really have to tell people to not kill somebody, have to steal. I mean, that means they're very primitive. That means that they were a very primitive civilization. So you have to tell these people, and they have to get it to a certain level. And later on, okay, man, I want to reach enlightenment, and then they work on themselves to get to fall down, go up, fall down, fall down. And finally you go up and then you start progressing, you reach enlightenment. That's why they have the concept of forgiveness. And if you've done things in the past, that can be bad things. That can be overcome and you can reach enlightenment. But more bad things someone has done, the more harm they've done to other people.
The longer it takes.
It can be done fast too, but the tougher it is. But for some people, they haven't done much bad things, but it's still tough for them because it depends on. It's very deep. So many things. It take hours to explain. So
I think you're doing great because everything you're saying, the people who are going to listen to that, the Polish people are very conscious, very receptive. They understand. They will perceive it. They will perceive what you're saying. And I hope that the translation will be there for it, so they understand these things. We are talking. I invite a lot of guests talking about consciousness, so you can actually talk very freely about it, and they can connect with you. I'm very sure about it.
Most of my experience comes from, practicing meditation and going through this path for the past 20 years, more than 20 years, in fact. But it has to do with dropping down a lot of attachments. A lot of attachments. Once you do something, you fall down again. They're very, very difficult, but it can be done. With any kind of effort, it can be done. So, yes.
So you did that meditation. You were traveling. Did you do something with in Tibet particularly, or?
Oh, not Tibetans. In China, I live with fighting monks and also meditation, qigong. But what I learned in America was more deeper, what I've done the past 20 years than what I did in China. But when I was in China, I developed a lot of what you call supernatural skills, which are all martial arts skills, most of them.
Right.
My pineal gland's been open as a little kid, but then it got stronger in China, and then when I came here, it got 1,000 times stronger. And I've opened up all my energy channels in my body, all 10,000 of them, and so many different things. A lot of experience. What you call the Kundalini, which people call Kundalini, is actually a small energy channel. There's more. There's Kundalini is just like what the Chinese call the Xiaotian or the Datian, which is the energy channel going from circling and connecting a few different. But there are 10,000 energy channels, much more than a Kundalini. A lot.
Can you tell us more about it?
You'd have to study up. This is you have to study up. The best thing is to put down attachments, work on purification of mind and body, and morals. Here's the thing: there's a code in the universe for morality. What the moral of the human race was in the 40s, that was the minimum requirement. How was it in the 1940s? So people think those religions are very primitive, and they're very strong and they're conservative, but those are the minimum requirements for the code. There's actually a frequency in the universe that has codes, and for the conduct for human beings, it matches to that. So if people are not that, they'll never ascend. They have to start at that level, and then there's so many things they have to put down, like even drinking. If you drink wine or alcohol, these energies will not develop in your bodies. The energy channels will not open up. They will not. And there are some people who say, I'll drink alcohol and I have these energy channels. It's not theirs. It's actually an entity that's attached to their energy field that opens it for them. Because a lot of these people who practice these meditations, like yoga stuff, they pray to certain things, or they do shaman stuff. Almost all shamans do shaman practices. They don't realize it, even when the pineal glands open or they do remote viewing. It's not them. It's an entity that attaches to the energy field. It gives that power. And but if you look at most of them, they have a health issue later on. They're not beyond sickness.
That's true. We talked about it a lot of times, but this is very important subject you're touching on, because this differentiation between connecting with something higher or connecting to entity somewhere there, it's a big thing to differentiate, to learn to differentiate that at the beginning. And if you do use any drugs, any alcohol, it's very likely that you're not going up, you're going sideways.
You're going down, actually.
You're
being so, in the past, in the Christian faith and the Catholic faith, which is that controlled your area for the past over 1,000 years, they always say you shouldn't do magic. You shouldn't do these kind of things, because they said it was evil. It wasn't because it was evil, because it always attracted evil, because people had the wish for power, or they wouldn't understand how to do it. And then because when Yeshua, Jesus, was around, he passed on some things to his disciples. But what his disciples passed on never got to the average person. The mind-body practices never got to the public. They just wrote down the Bible, a few decades later, from the Old Testament. They put it together. That's what people have. But then there was Catholic saints that somehow achieved certain things. So yes, one should not. If you want to ascend and you want to obtain really supernatural high level things, you have to be the morals of how people were in the 40s. You have to drop down your drinking, your smoking, your drugs completely. You have to not be a selfish, greedy person, not be emotional, not have any range, not take advantage of other people, put down fear, not have fear of anything, and have courage, and then be logical, calm. And once you have all these things, then you have your foundation. Then you start.
Exactly.
Then you start practicing.
considering everything what's happening right now, and politicians, people in power, do you think they have a chance for that? Because it's hard for me to imagine that now, because it's still more Machiavelli set of mind for the future, like, you know, lies, violence, power, tricks, than going into real sort of power, real kind of power through empathy, understanding, sharing.
Yes, that's been the issue for the human race for a long time. That's why right now is a very serious time. Either people pick the good side on a mass, or there may be a mass extinction of a lot of people. That's what I put in my book, in this book. That's what I said. I found extinction cause the majority of the human race in stages. I was writing so many things that no one on the planet talked about and said it's coming now. Nobody that wrote it and talked about it. No one did that. People say, oh, Cyrus, Bill Gates said it. No, he didn't. He was talking about a simulation that a disease can come. But no one said, it's coming right now, it's coming from China, and it's going to be a lockdown, the whole world's going to be enslaved. And I put it in writing. So nobody in the world did that. And it says it's coming right now, and did a lawsuit. Because nobody knew it was coming. That's
you know what? I think I should connect you, and I don't know how to do that. We have very famous Polish psychic, Jackowski, that's his surname, and he actually predicts a lot of worldly things in Poland. But of course, he had to gather all the details. He's basically, most of the times he was working on the crime scenes for police, and he forced the police to have a documentation during years. So his documentation is big, it's huge. People write books about it. Of course, you're not going to hear about him in America, but he was one time in China, as far as I heard, working on the case there. So that's really amazing. It would be good if one day perhaps you talk to him, because maybe you agree here.
Agree?
Yeah, maybe you agree on the specifics, that you guys see the same things happening. From the different perspective, because you actually investigated AI. So he has different perspective. He actually has visions.
Yes. Yes. So people use visions, and, you know, when you have the pineal gland open, you can see things very clearly. You can see, if you had a higher level, you can scan all 7 billion people in 1 second and see everything and get a general picture. So, yeah. but you cannot say these things. You cannot. A high level person that can see the future would never tell people's future ever. Would never even advertise as a psychic. No high level person would do this ever, because it's a law in the universe. You can never do this. Your powers are taken away. That's why a lot of psychics have a little ability. They can generally get some things right or not right. They're searching. They don't have true abilities. True people that can see like they're a machine. Through walls, they can see your future in detail, the society's future, of the entire universe's future, like they're almost a god, but they're not. They're just ascended. They don't interfere with human affairs because they understand the humans are here, and there's free will, and there's destiny, and there's karma, and there's cause and effect, and there's a design for the entire universe. So if they mess with it, they're breaking a law. Mm-hmm. They can be punished, because, you know, if there is God, then he can step in and stop a crime anytime he wants, right? He can stop all the world's sicknesses if you want to. He can stop death, but he doesn't want to, because he created it that way. Because there is the concept of good and bad. There's the concept of free will and destiny.
I understand you here. I understand you here, because when you actually look into the future or collective in your meditation, I know exactly what you mean, because I experienced that too. You sometimes see different lines of what can happen. There are different dimensions and lines, like this can happen, but also you see something opposite or something else. But I don't know if you know the concept of card readings or any form of divination.
I don't do those things. I see it clearly as as it's happening before it's happening, a general picture and detail. This entire event, I saw it in my vision in 2002. Trump coming to power, all the lockdown, I saw it in 2002. I've known about it for 18 years, and even more. So, but I just didn't know how to explain the detail. That's why I researched the company, investigated, and I put it down, because average scientists will never, if you say I had a vision or I can see what's going to happen, I'm going to believe you. But then if you go around and you show the detail, it's coming from China, here's the companies, this is what's going to happen, and then they kind of believe you, and then afterwards say, oh yeah, he's getting things right. Okay, he said they're mixing humans and animals in here, and they can become a virus. And even I had to code some things. So there are about 10,000 people on this planet that have a lot of abilities. They're very powerful, but they don't come to the public. They don't come talking and doing things. So that's very high level people, because this world, it is what it is. You know, scientists, they really hate the concept of religion or this kind of stuff, because they've been hurt by religion. Catholics, so many of them raped little kids, okay, and then destroyed the concept of Catholicism for them. Christianity, in Catholicism, the Pope did so many bad things for going back generations. The people around him, they stole so many things. The Vatican built so much gold. There were so much holy wars that were going on. People would go rape villages and then say, oh, you know, it's my right from God, da, da, da. So people hate this concept. But the most important one that's recent is what got people. If there is a God, not only why don't I see it, but why is it that I'm born here and I have a good life, but someone in Africa over there is born with AIDS? Or they're born as enslavement and they get raped and they die. There's no God. That's what they think, right? That's what but they don't understand. I figured it out when I was 13 years old. But I don't want to say it because it's, but the entire thing is a simulation. It is design. But there is such thing as karma, cause and effect. And if you believe in reincarnation, then that explains everything. Because, you know, before the 3rd century AD, and even the books within the Torah, there's references to our spirits having the past and coming here and then coming again. The Greeks had the same thing, that you go to the river of forgetfulness, and it's gone. Your memory is gone. Persians, same thing. The Buddhists, the same thing. Only the recent Judeo-Christian of Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they say no, that we all suffer because of Adam and Eve. A couple people did bad things and everybody suffered. That's what they say. And scientists laugh at it. They say, no, the universe came out of itself, and you know, the person goes on a horse, it's just out of luck, and then the air is perfect, it's all out of luck, and if there was a God, he'd show himself, and people wouldn't suffer. That's what they can use from their 5% of their brain power. So if you tap into 100%, then you can see
the whole picture, yeah.
Because we have a spirit. So I've flown on my body before, many times. And first time I did it when I was awake, it's like electricity. And I fly around the room or somewhere else, I look back, my body's still sitting there. So that was my proof that we have a soul, and it's similar to electricity. So that scientist, for their entire life, they're an atheist or they're agnostic. But when they die, when they fly out of their body, they'll think, I really messed up. because they'll say, well, maybe there was a purpose. Maybe I should have gone for enlightenment. And they'll come out of their body, they'll say, well, life didn't end, and I still have a consciousness.
Well, nothing is lost. Incarnate again.
Oh, something like that, right? So
yeah.
I don't want to push opinions, because you have a certain audience that's open to these things. So I'm talking. I mainly
yes,
deal
they can follow you. Totally, you can be very free, because I can assure you that a lot of people, if you talk about out-of-body experience, a lot of people had that. A lot of people had something that came to them, visitors at night, and I also had guests investigating aliens, extraterrestrial cases. So everything you are talking, you can feel absolutely free about sharing your unique experience, because
maybe another interview we can talk about the experience with UFOs and out-of-body experiences and ghosts and demons, and I have a lot, a lot.
Okay, I would love that. I think we can do part 2 on that. With the final note for today, you had actually wonderful message already, and we are working on it. All of us working on raising our vibration and going more. But is there anything else? How we can?
Yes. The most important thing. Well, if you want to follow me on Twitter, I put out geopolitical stuff. Cyrus A Parsa 1. IG, I'm going to put out more things like this. Instagram, same thing. Cyrus A Parsa 1. CYRUSAPRSA 1.
I will put your links under the video.
Yes, and to the movie as well.
Yeah, that people can
get the book in
and
Polish, read it. Get the book in Polish and read it. Get the ideas, and then what needs to be done is this: the whole world needs to expose the Chinese Communist Party. What Reagan did with Gorbachev, it needs to be done times 100. The Chinese Communist Party endangers the Polish people, endangers your families, your entire lives. So everyone's busy going after big tech. They don't get it. Once you dissolve the Communist Party of China, everything will be solved by itself. All the Polish people need to do, they need to expose the Chinese Communist Party for the crimes against humanity and the release of this virus or bioweapon. Even if you don't believe, even if you think it's not real, you expose them for it. You have to. You do this, and secondly, maybe we should all look for forgiveness. If we treated somebody badly, if we were complicit, we did business with China when they had these concentration camps, that it means we're at fault to a certain degree. And you need to tell your governors and your mayors and your president and the thing, you have a president or prime minister, I forget, I apologize. But
go ahead.
You need to tell them that China's Communist Party needs to expose. The entire country needs to ask for redemption for doing business. If you're doing business with someone who's doing a Holocaust and your government knows about it, that's bad for your people. Third is have a wish for enlightenment, a great future for the Polish people and for the world's people. But since we're talking to Poland today and the Polish people, have a great future for the Polish people. But the three things: expose the Chinese Communist Party, forgiveness is a great thing, and then a wish for a great future. These are really three things that one can do. Once you do that, everything will come together like a puzzle.
If there is anybody who's listening to this and understands that in English or Polish or lives in China, I would like to hear your opinion. What's going on there? What's going on there? Because the people who are actually living there, they also know about things we do not know, about the defect. Everything you talked about, there could be some tips, because I have no idea. And Polish people who are listening to that and living in Poland, they have no idea how to approach this topic. You say about something very big here. About the dangers coming from communism and the country. So this is a warning. More, this is a good analysis of what's happening. We are touching on different aspects of humanity and conversing about it. But the more people who are living in a certain environment, they get more ideas, and we need to connect, right?
Need to connect, but everybody needs to make a huge effort to help eliminate the Communist Party of China by exposing them, because it has to do with the safety of your country. Trust me on that. It really does. Look what happened. The whole world got locked down because of China, the Communist Party of China. So what else could happen when they still start building the AI systems, the military more, and if Trump doesn't become president, if it's Biden, and what's going to happen? Who's going to protect Poland?
Oh, that's a big question, because what's happening now in Poland is not really promising. So Yeah, I I keep a lot of positive thoughts for Poland right now.
The Polish business people need to understand that they're hurting their own families. They're hurting Poland. Not that they're traitors, worse than traitors, because they are killing Poland by doing business with the Chinese Communist Party, by China, or any Chinese company, or any European company that does business with China. If you're doing that, you're threatening the lives of the Polish people. And very intricate. Read this book. Once you read this book, I'll have it available soon in publication. You understand what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm. But wait a minute, because not every person from China is a bad person. You also hiring Chinese people.
Yes, I have Chinese friends. I speak Chinese.
So maybe there are some businesses that are good, you know?
No, not one, because they're all under the influence or control of the Chinese Communist Party. If the Chinese Communist Party regime gets destroyed, then sure, do business with China, no problem. The point is, if you, like for instance, Iran is ruled by Islamic regime, right? They want their goal is to make the world Islam. So if you gave them the military power of the U.S., if they changed positions, would they have made the entire world Islam? What would the Turks done to Poland if they had the U.S. military, the Ottomans 500 years ago, 600 years ago? What would they have done? When they took down Constantinople, in the 13th century, I can't recall. It was after the Mongol invasion sometime. When they took it down, what did they try to do? They try to spread their religion, right?
Of course,
so I'm not saying that religion is bad. What I'm saying is the Communist Party of China is very bad. It controls and is connected to all businesses that are Chinese. And Western companies too. They have bought assets in Western companies, in Western media. Your news media could be bought by them through different methods. And they go to different countries. They buy assets in these countries. You see? So they're a danger. And they're very smart. They know that, they can say, you're a racist. You don't have diversity. They use that in a way of soft power to take control of your nation. And it's not people that are there doing it. It's the government that influences them and does it. It's a natural process.
I know what you mean. It's important to differentiate that because this is the government.
That's why I said, I didn't say eliminate the Chinese people. I didn't say eliminate China. I said the Chinese Communist Party. Trump says China a lot. I said the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah, that's an important differentiation because that would harm a lot of great Chinese people, and I wouldn't like that.
Well, look, China has 1.5 billion people. There is no diversity there. There isn't. So Poland should be Poland, not China. I have an Iranian background. It shouldn't be controlled by Iran. It should be controlled by Polish people. How do you kill diversity?
Yeah, we have a problem with that. Who's controlling things in Poland right now?
No. How do you kill diversity? You kill diversity with diversity. When you don't see white people, black people, and Indian people controlling China or having prominent positions, but you see the opposite way. So there's only I don't look like a white person. Maybe to some degree, right? I'm mixed. Most people are mixed as well, actually, but they have a different mix. When you have 500 million people who are European descent, and 100 million people here, 100 million, and the 6 billion people don't. Within a couple of generations, then it comes down to only 100 million people, or maybe 50 million people. There is no diversity. You go on a mountaintop, on the right side there's a white flower, there's a blue flower, there's an orange flower, brown flower, and a black flower, a green, blue, and that's diversity. But if you take the majority of flowers and you put it on one flower, that flower is no more. It's gone. And then you mix all those flowers up. It's all the same. You know what the Persian people look like? They were a blonde-haired, blue-eyed race with curly hair. I have curly hair. Before my hair turns white, it goes blonde-red. Our language is a mix of Polish, German, Italian, French, and Arabic and Hebrew, and Mongolian. Because first the Greeks invaded in the 3rd century BC. We're only there for about 80 years. And then afterwards, the Arabs invaded. They were there for 500 years, from the 7th century on. They had black hair, black eyes, but mostly white skin. Then the Mongols invaded. First when they invaded, they killed 90% of the population. They raped almost the rest. Same thing with Poland. They invaded Poland. That's why you see some people in Poland, that area, look very, very Asian. Some people look a little Asian. Every Russian person has, if you look at their eyes, they look a little Mongolian. Every Russian person, because they invaded there. Even if you go to Finland, their language is not European. It's a mix of European and it sounds Japanese. You know why? Because of the Mongolian tribes. They invaded there. So in our language, we have Mongolian words. We really do. A lot. We have Chinese words. We don't even know it. It's a mix of German, Mongolian, Chinese, Arabic, Hebrew, and Indo-European. Indo-European is like, is the German. So I'll say dar, which is Tur in German. I'll say dochter, which is dochter, daughter. I'll say pedar, which is padre in Latin or Italiano, right? That's Latin. I'll say madar, which is mutter in German. So the foundation of it is there. I'll say ast, which is. Or hast. Unjo hast. Unjo hast means over there. What do you say in Germany? You say has. Das ist.
Hast, he has, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. We have hastan, hasti, hastam. You know, so the conjugations are there.
Yes.
So, and then in Spanish, you'll say yo pienso que. I think so. Que is a transition. So I'll say manifect me con que. Same thing. It's the same thing. So that means not only is the history correct, because in terms of Chinese history, it said the Persians have blonde hair, blue eyes. The gold coins say the same thing. Then the Greeks say the same thing. Homer Herodotus say the same thing. Then you have two. So it explains it. Then you see the historical invasions, then it makes sense. Then you get to the language, all comes together. 1, 2, 3 empirical evidence and things you can see with your eyes. So you want diversity, you go to Iran and Afghanistan. It's a mix of blacks, whites, Asians, Arabs. That's so everybody is like is diversity. But if you have you bring you know, all the world's people to Europe, Europeans will not exist.
That's another big topic that we could talk about, and also draws a lot of emotions there. How less people are in Europe and all this.
I'm not being I can't be racist. I'm not even totally white. I'm telling you in a scientific, empirical way of that's how you eliminate a species. Is you have to have the integrity of a species, and that's racist. You have to have everybody here. Well, why isn't it racist in their own countries? Why can't you have a white? They don't say, oh, they invaded us. You know, the English invaded the Indians. Well, what about the Mongolians when they invaded the white people? You see, for 500 years they gang raped the white people. They did. They gang raped the white people and chop off their heads and put them on spike and burn their bodies. And then Poland too. They did that.
Yeah, well, Poland even disappeared from the map for a while.
Yeah. So is it racist? Why can't we talk about the American Indians in America? They suffered, and the blacks, they suffered. But then the whites suffered too. Everybody, every race, every ethnicity, they enslaved somebody and they raped somebody at some time. So it's not a race thing. Every race did bad things. So am I going to be mad that the Arabs did this 1,400 years ago, or the Mongolians did that, or even the Persians did that, right? Because this is all close. Our spirits is what's important. Every human being is special. We have to stop looking at race and always trying to equalize things. But to try to like throw all the races into one place and say the white people shouldn't have anything because they were racist 100 years ago, well, then the Mongolians are racist. The Arabs are racist too. The Chinese are racist today. They're very racist.
I know exactly what you mean right now. It's great that you are touching on these subjects, and I know that it will evoke a lot of emotions from some people, because the recent time in history was, of course, the slavery of black people, so that will draw emotions, and I understand that, but you are trying to portray a bigger picture that history we cannot remember. So maybe in our DNA is the history from hundreds of years, but we don't go that far as Mongolians, but this is true. And if we dig in the history, the Mongolians and the tribes that back there, they barely were changing dynasty from month to month because they were so cruel. They just were killing one another so fast.
Burning bodies while they're alive. Burning bodies while they're alive, and putting spikes, everywhere. The Turkish tribes, they come from a Mongolian tribe. Did you know that? They're mixed. The Turks are mixed with Romans, Greeks, and Persians and Arabs, and Turks. Turks are actually a Mongolian tribe. That's why when the Mongols invaded, they wanted to make friends with them because they're called the same ancestry. So Turks were actually Asian people. If you look at the Turkic language, it matches the Japanese language and the Korean language and the Mongolian language. They're called the Altaic language. It's not an Indo-European language. It's an Altaic language on its foundation. But inside its words, it has a lot of Persian words, it has Greek words, European words. But anyway, this has been a very long discussion. Maybe you can make it into 2 or 3 parts or something. I don't know. Because we went to race and aliens.
We wrap it up a lot, and I have a pleasure of listening to that. And so, guys, what are you thinking about all of that? Share the thoughts, please. Maybe you have a question. We touch on so many things that even I let myself to digress a lot because I wanted to hear. And I'm meeting you actually, Cyrus, for the first time. So it's been very interesting for me. So for today, thank you so much for sharing. And I am looking forward to hear actually more. I don't know, how about you? I'm going to share all the links below this video, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Thank you very much, Cyrus, and have everyone great day, whatever you are. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.